The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondel. Tonight, my guest is making his second appearance on the show. Amazing artist, singer, songwriter. He has a new single out entitled "Thank God It's Friday." Can't wait for everybody to hear that one. Robby's been featured on Sirius XM. He's been on The Late Show with David Letterman before. He's been on Huckabee, you name it, People Magazine. We're so happy to have him back for a second time. So please welcome back Robby Johnson. Thanks, Robby, for being back.
Well, thank you so much for having me back on the show. I really enjoyed the first time and looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, we are too, and I know the song is amazing, which we're going to be playing here at some point during the show. But first of all, we had you on the show before and kind of got onto how you became a musician and moving out to Nashville and so forth. But there's one thing that I wanted to bring up that we didn't bring up last time, and I noticed that you worked in after high school, you got a job in a manufacturing plant, and it was very loud in there. So you mentioned that you could sing as loud as you wanted to while you're at work. So just talk about that experience. A lot of people don't have that ability to do that. So that's got to be kind of fun for you to be able to sing your songs while you're working.
It was a lot of fun, and it was 12-hour shifts. I had night shifts, and then I would switch for day shifts. It was sometimes, wintertime, I wouldn't see the sun. But yeah, it was a deafening sound, and I wrote my first song on a 12-hour shift.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And so I could, and I had the earplug, so I could hear myself sing.
Yeah.
But people around, they couldn't hear me. So I could do whatever I want. People would, I guess they were looking at me like, oh, this guy's crazy.
That's amazing.
But that's how, I developed my pipes.
Yeah, I'm sure. Belting out those tunes. Yeah. Now, talk about Nashville a little bit. We touched on it a little bit last time, but, I've interviewed so many people since you that are also in Nashville. And, I guess my question is from somebody from afar, Nashville seems like it's a great place to live, first of all. I mean, it's got to be just a beautiful place to live, and it's just all about music. But at what point does it become so saturated with, songwriters and singers that, how do you set yourself apart from the other folks that are in Nashville? Because everybody's there, and it's almost like for actors living in Hollywood, this is where singers go to do their craft.
Exactly.
So, I know that it's a very collaborative town and people are really helpful to each other. Is that really what attracts people there? Because I just had that question because I always think about how many people actually live there that are musicians and how do they, get to kind of set themselves apart. So talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, so Nashville is great because people understand the process. They understand that not everybody is going to be a star, but they are willing to help anybody who wants to do it, and they will recognize talent and get behind talent in a minute, and that's what's great about this town. There's musicians, songwriters everywhere, and they all want to, get together, find a way to write the song that will change people's lives, that hit song that resonates, not to win awards, but that resonates with the mass, and changes becomes the soundtrack of people's lives. And that's what we want to do. We want to kind of become eternal in some way.
I mean, it's really a spot for songwriters for the most part. I mean, obviously everybody's performers, but songwriting there is really where you can really hone that skill of songwriting, working and collaborating with some of the best songwriters in the world, right?
Oh, yes, you can learn, and they're all very patient. They understand, like I said, it's a process, and they just because everybody in a room brings something new to the table, and so you're not going to write. Even if you're, a senior songwriter, you've had many hits, it's not going to be the same. You're not going to write the same song over and over again because you're in writing sessions with different people, different artists, and they bring something new and fresh to the table. So it's always going to sound different. There's always going to be this new thing in the song. So that's really cool. And it's the place to be. Nashville is the place to be if you want to, get better at it and learn from the best of the best. They're here, and I've said it before, it's like the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's really the best of the best that are here and make it. So to break through, you have to be really, really good. But when you do have that talent or that something special, people hear it, feel it, and like I said, they get behind you and they help you. That's great. That's what I love.
Do you ever find like an extra responsibility, I guess, when you're there in Nashville because of who came before, and, Nashville is so well known for, being kind of the birthplace of country music. And do you find that it's really a responsibility for every artist and songwriter there to make sure that it maintains the integrity of the art and, do it the right way, and it's almost like a respect thing?
Really, I think if you look back at different eras, they were all doing it their way, with the influences from the past, but still they were doing it their way. Because the thing is, if you come here and try and replicate what's already been done, it's not going to go anywhere. It has to have something fresh. It has to be you. It has to come from you. Yes, you can hear the influences, like Zach Top. Hear the influence in the music, but he comes with something new. He's bringing something new to the table, and that's what's cool about this. And I don't think it's because he's wanting to realign country music or by respect for the ones before.
Sure. Right.
I think it's because that's him. That's who he is.
Yeah.
And he understands that country music is all about authenticity and being true to yourself.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. So I think it's a good way to pay respect to the ones before who did it,
their
genuinely.
Way.
Their way, genuinely, and were true to themselves and to the listeners. So I think that's the most important thing. It's being you, being true to yourself and people, and that will pay tribute and respect to what was before you.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and that's well said. Thank you for that. And you're getting into talk about something new and fresh. Your new song, "Thank God It's Friday." It's just an amazing song. I didn't know what to expect when I was listening to it, but it's just an amazing. I just fell right into it, man. The first verse was just had me hooked. So, talk about the making of that song, because it's kind of a play on words in a sense, where people might think it's one thing, but it's actually another. But that's what I love. That's what I love about. First of all, I love country music for that, because there's a lot of things that you might think, oh, it's this way, but it's actually the context is actually this. So talk about the writing in that song, because I think it was an incredible, amazing, every word in it. So talk about the writing of that song.
Well, first, thank you so much. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
So the way I write, I sit down, I grab the guitar, I fool around. This one, it was on piano. I was just fooling around with a chord progression, and I just let it out. And the song starts, it's been the whole week thinking about you and all the little things only you can do, all the nuances in you belong. Make my knees weak when you go down. Now I can't wait to lay my hands on you. But I'm sorry, babe, I ain't talking to you. Thank God it's a Friday night, and I'm gonna let it go down my way tonight. It's a Monday. We're pouring down and drinking down this work week. Thank God it's a Friday.
I'ma shuffle and spin her around. I'll pretend that I'm friends with her friend and honor that ring on my hand. But then I'll step away.
And I'm like, oh wow, this is a love song.
Yeah.
But then it gets tricky. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
wait a minute, make my knees weak when you go down. I was like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah.
But you just have to trust the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just let it out. And sometimes I feel like I find the songs. They already exist and they're meant to be, and I just find them. And it's the case for this one where I could have gone and said, no, there's no way I can do this. Another beer song.
Yeah, right.
It's a love song, but
it's a love song about beer. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's a Friday night drinking game.
Yeah.
But, my brain could have said, hey, I don't think you should be doing this. But
no, you got to do it, man.
and that's what I love about country music.
Yeah.
Is you can, sing a tearjerker, a really deep song, but you can turn around and do something light because country music is about everyday life.
Right. Yeah.
And it happens that a lot of people love drinking beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes total sense that you can sing songs about drinking beer, in country music. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
So it was fun to work on that one and just discover it as it was coming out.
Yeah.
And sometimes what's funny is, sometimes you will write a verse, you get in the chorus, you're not too sure, you have a melody for the chorus, but you don't have the words, and then you get to the second verse, and then you have a second verse, and then you're like, well, what's the chorus? And you find the words that fit with the melody.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, and the words that need to be there fit with the verses.
Right.
That's why sometimes I feel like it existed already. I just discovered it. Because how can I come up with the right melody that would use the right word for, the right words for the song? It's really weird sometimes.
But, first of all, let me give a shout out. Whoever did the engineering, phenomenal. The producing, just everything about it was just, I had my headphones on when I was listening to it, and it just was, it just took me to another place, and it's hard to do that with every song that I listened to, and it was so well engineered, and so it's just shout out to whoever did that piece of it. So great job.
Mastering Andrew Mendelson, Georgetown Masters. He's a big name, household name in Nashville. Has been mastered, a bunch of big, huge records. And also mixing engineer is Jack Clark. He won a CMA award with Cody Johnson.
Amazing.
He's really good. And I work with Danny Rader for production. He's a producer and he's also co-writer on the song. I come up with the song, I write it and all that, and then I get together with Danny and we go over the song. And oftentimes we change stuff. He will challenge me sometimes on the lyrics, saying, I get where you want to go, but I don't really understand what you're trying to say, And sometimes I tweak, and sometimes because he's an awarded musician.
Sure. Right.
He's touring with Kenny Chesney. He's going to be doing the Sphere in Vegas with Chesney. Insanely talented guy.
Yeah, sure.
So, and he does the tracks. I have oftentimes on this one, I have a live drum, Wes Little, Janae Fleener on fiddle. She's won a bunch of CMA awards, Musician of the Year. She's so fun to work with, so funny, and it's always a good time to be around her.
Yeah.
And it's working with the great people that know what they're doing. And it shows into the production, and it's fun that you notice it, and
it's amazing, such great work, and it just goes along with all the actors that I interview too. It's like you can't put a movie together without the sound guy or the person working the clapboard or the PA or the electrician that's putting all the power together. It takes a team to really put together a good work of art like that. So again, I don't want people to listen to music and just think it's a singer. No, it's a collaborative effort to make a song come to life like that. So again, anytime I can call out the, people behind the scenes, I like to do that. Speaking of that though, I wanted to ask you about this because around here on the East Coast where I live, almost every recording studio has shuttered, closed down, slowly for the last decade. Studios are closing the door. They're not getting the business because people record for the most part at home.
Yeah.
They have Pro Tools or whatever. They have a treated room like the studio I'm in right now, and they could put together an amazing, even in their bathroom, you could, record something. You know what I mean? So I was going to ask you about that because Nashville, there's some great studios still around and it's still alive there. So what do you think is keeping the studios in Nashville working so well? And the studios around the country are shutting their doors, and sadly, I think. But again, it has to do with money and it has to do with a lot of things. But what do you think is keeping the studios alive in Nashville? Which I'm glad they are, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, some do close, but and there's a lot of home studios in Nashville. A lot of songwriters, and musicians do overdubs at their home, the comfort of their home.
Sure.
But I think it's because there are so many artists that converge, to Nashville, to music. So that's a reason why the studios, they can keep busy. It's really, and it's also because they have access to equipment that artists can't afford.
Sure.
I track my vocals either at Starstruck Studios or Blackbird Studio.
The big ones,
because they have like the microphones that cost $50,000 that are very expensive to maintain. So I can't afford that mic. I can cut a vocal, at my home that will sound like that. And they have, tons of equipment that make it sound, that gives it the sound, a Nashville record has. And, you cannot have track a drum in a small room and have the same sound that if you had tracked the drums at Ocean Way. It's impossible because it's a big room and you won't get the same feel. It's not a plug-in that will give you that sound. It's really, you got to be in the room. Chris Stapleton, he records his vocals, at Studio RCA, and they have a natural reverb room, and you can hear it in the record. And
the difference, right?
That can do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like I said before, when I put the earphones in, listen to your song, it's like you can tell immediately the production quality, and a lot of that, goes into where you record and who records you and who knows how to work that soundboard, because not everybody does. And so you can tell the difference. So again, just an amazing work. And, what else is going on with you? I mean, it's been a while since we've actually talked. So besides this song, what else can we expect from you?
Well, I was in the studio today working on some new music, cutting some vocals. I was at Blackbird, and I'm looking forward to releasing that as well. I'm staying in the bar. I got this new song. It's titled "If Barstools Could Cry."
Nice.
It's not a ballad. It's not a tearjerker. It's an up-tempo song. A really cool story. What would happen if barstools could cry? I would have made different choices in life. So that's what the song's about. And, it's all those, it's fun being in a studio where anything can happen, magic happens and endless possibilities. Sometimes it's scary because it is endless possibilities. When you start working on a song, there's so many directions you can go. You can get lost very, very quick.
Yeah, right.
Easily. So it's a lot of fun. So working in the studio, there's a CRS Country Radio seminar that's coming up, and I'm going to be doing a showcase, 15-minute showcase on Friday, February 21st. And I'm doing a showcase in front of, all the radio people and industry. So that's going to be really cool. Looking forward to that. And I can't wait to get out, and perform live for people, because that's when it happens. It's me by myself, nothing happens.
You got to get that connection with the fans.
Get that connection. Also, I keep saying, when you're at a live show, you're not just witnessing a show, you're a part of the show.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, you're a part of it. If you're not there, there's no show. And you're as important as the guitar player, the singer, everybody, the crew, the engineers. You're part of it. You are making it happen.
Provide that energy, right?
Exactly.
It's like a sporting event. The fans are electric. It's going to make you play better. And, and I always think that, doesn't matter what you do for a job. If you have people supportive around you, it makes you better. And, it just makes the whole experience much better as well. And, one of the last questions that I have for you, and I just thought of this as we were talking, but have you ever been at a, I don't know, establishment, beer or a bar or anywhere, and one of your songs comes on? Have you ever had that situation where one of your songs comes on, on the, how did you handle that? I mean, what was that like for you?
It's funny because sometimes you're like, hey, I know this song. Like, wait a minute.
Hey, that's me.
That's me on the radio.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool feeling. And what's funny is when people around, they don't know it's you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're just like incognito.
Right. Exactly.
Your song's playing and you're right there, and it's you singing that song. And it's
pretty cool.
It's a funny feeling. And sometimes people do recognize it. And that's also very funny when, you see them and they're like,
hey, wait a second.
I know this guy. And they're like, they tell their husband, hey, stand here. I'm going to take a picture of you. But they're actually taking a picture, behind what's behind. And that's you. And it's funny. And then they're like, I know you. Yes. And then
that's me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because sometimes, you meet people and you're in a different environment, so you can't really recall, but I know you. I've met, and then like, oh yes, of course. I know you.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, Robby-Johnson.com, the website. I love your website, and a lot of great videos and songs and things, that people can look at. So my listeners, go to Robby, ROBBY -Johnson, common spelling.com. So go check his website out, listen to his new music. And by the time this this podcast is live, the song "Thank God It's Friday" will be out at that point. So it's out now. So make sure you check it out on all streaming platforms. Download it immediately, because it was one of those songs that you'll listen to time and time again. So, Robby, I just, again, last question that I have for you, and I ask this every time I have a show, but, remind everybody, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind when people think of Robby Johnson?
I just want to have, that song that becomes, the soundtrack of a generation. And, kind of like, and I think I've said this before in the Elvis movie, the Colonel, where he says to Elvis, we're the same, we're seeking eternity. And so that's the goal, is to be, leave a mark.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And, and I think one of the reason I ask that question of every guest is because, I feel, because I'm 56 now, and, when I was growing up, unfortunately, some of the people I grew up with, listening to a lot of the new generation, they've never heard of, or, they like, maybe that's what my mom and dad listened to, but, we need to keep the legacies alive, of folks like yourself and all these people that came before us, because it's important. It's where, it's where music started. It's where music needs to continue to be celebrated, and the history of it is important as well. So that's why, I do whatever I can anyway to keep that legacy alive of some of these folks that came before us. But really nice talking to you again, Robby. You're always welcome back, of course. And, best of luck on your new single, Thank God It's Friday. I know it's going to do really well. But again, I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you again for joining me tonight.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. Thanks for having me on your show. It was a pleasure. Love the questions. And yes, it's really important to pay tribute. And, it's funny because I feel like if someone from another planet would come here and listen to the music, they could actually place it all in order in time.
Yeah.
Because we're always, emulating, we're always kind of not copying, but, we're
evolving
it, but still it's inspired
Right.
you can't really brag, hey, I wrote this song and it's all, I have the full credit. No, you don't.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like, artists should get something. It should be like a fund where, artists always get a little something because they've contributed to the music.
Right.
And, because what they've brought to the table will be picked up down the road and somebody else is going to use it and be influenced by it. So I think it shouldn't be, where all the money goes to one artist, but I think it should
community.
be like
it's a community. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Completely agree. But really good stuff, man. Really good stuff as always, Robby. And like I said, my best to you. And again, don't hesitate to come back. We'd love to have you back again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave.